respected dignitaries of the dais, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be present here and speaking in this smart railway conclave on the topic of e-mobility and energy efficiency. The honor gets doubled for me because railways have been my alma mater as well as Karam Bhumi for a significant period of my career. In times when sustainability is a top priority, we must always be on the lookout for developing and adopting solutions that enhance just not mobility but also the sustainability quotient. The transportation sector today is responsible for more than 12% of the GHG emissions. And even though railways are very environmentally friendly, they account for almost 4% of the same. The drive towards 100% electrification of railways and an increasing emphasis on solar based energy infusion over the past couple of decades has been an exemplary one and which demonstrates the commitment of the railways towards more environment friendly means of transport. Even with these major successes, the sheer scale of railway operations all over the country poses significant challenges in realizing the dreams towards achieving the net zero goals stipulated by the railways themselves by the year 2030. Energy efficiency is one of the themes important, very important, but often neglected. It is said that energy efficiency will account for almost 45% of the interventions, both in monetary terms and in physical intervention terms, if we have to achieve the INDC goals. Since energy accounts for a significant portion of the operating expenses of Indian Railways, by improving energy efficiency, the railways can reduce their energy consumption and lower their operational costs. But have you ever pondered as to why energy efficiency is not that salient? And it does not deserve that respect or that kind of attention that it deserves. I believe there are two broad-based reasons for the same. Firstly, energy efficiency lies everywhere. It's highly disaggregated. The interventions lie in this room. It lies in this whole hotel. It is lying down on the street, in the street lights. It lies in every single home, every single industry, in every single MSME, every single place requires energy efficiency, and that's one reason it's highly disaggregated. And this disaggregation, and if any kind of energy efficiency intervention is done, it operates only on the cost side, unlike those big solar parks, farms, which you can see out there, which becomes a symbolism of economic growth. Energy efficiency is silent. It lies only on the cost side. It doesn't work like you invest and you reap revenue returns. It is only operating on the cost side, and therefore the small ticket size projects which are lying all over the place, you find it very difficult to manage them. And the money which is out there, millions of dollars of world money which is out there, the challenge is how do you invest that money into that single house or those billions of houses and industries out there. It's a no-brainer that marketplace development is essential for any work to happen at scale. And non-development of the marketplace because of all these challenges, and therefore an absence of a large-scale big entity to manage all this, is therefore one of the major reasons why we do not see scale develop in energy efficiency. Even on railways, for that matter, even though the organization is one huge organization, the entity level operations become a risk for the market as railways, even though as one single client is lying disaggregated, there are several officers in various divisions and zones who are dealing with work. So there's not one single client. On paper, it's a single client, but there are various spread out clients all over. Railways have despite that, railways have been one of those sectors which have always been on the forefront of energy efficiency intervention. We see the presence of railways as one of the most salient, important institution in all the National Energy Conservation Awards, which are distributed by Honorable President every year. We see the presence. Um, in fact, recently I think as institutionally, Railways is one of the only big organizations which has come out with a dedicated energy efficiency policy. However, policy making is one part, implementation is at scale is another. The challenges that I've already mentioned would stand here as well. Barring the availability of capex, Railways has the money, it has the fund availability, it has the monetary commitments available, but this does not complete the story of the challenges. What bears out from the general challenges I mentioned is that there needs to be a binding and aggregating mechanism of delivery of these projects. Aggregation of these projects as much as possible would help derive monetary value and increase the overall size of the projects, uh, and allow a demand visibility to the marketplace. This would generate interest, and that is why when the market is going to develop. While I'm not selling ESL, my company as a potential partner in this endeavor, the fact remains that as an aggregator of energy efficiency projects all across the country and as the largest ESCO in the world, uh, ESL would be a natural ally to the Railways. We have already partnered in the past, and a lot of work has already been done. But the fact remains that even in the IoT space, we are one company. IoT space, especially in energy efficiency domain, we hold one of the largest portfolios in the country. We have almost 65% of Indian roads are enabled through ESL IoT enabled streetlights, and almost we have a portfolio, largest portfolio of smart meters across the country as on date. We have been able to make considerable improvements in the GHG emissions. We have worked and whatever works ESL has done in the past has led to monetary savings of 96,000 crore rupees only in terms of the avoided capacity generation, and 20-30,000 crores of energy savings every year. On the e-mobility space, again, we have been the pioneers, and we hold the largest portfolio of electric cars that are being deployed in the government departments. We have now completely revamped our offerings, and we will be operating this the EV fleets through a digital IoT-based platform for ensuring that officers they don't have to take time off to sign logbooks, whatever overtimes are there, which actually happen to be one of the most highest costs in cars, and also the consumption of fuel, specific energy consumption is logged in time. Coming back to the energy efficiency policy of the Railways, one very important measure that has come in the policy is the role of CRIS in the endeavor. CRIS is basically being seen, again, as I said earlier, it's all about aggregation, and one single source of truth is required. And that is where the CRIS as an institution, as mentioned in the policy, will play an important role. Uh, Two major things are important, as I said. Number one is the kind of aggregation of projects. The other way is aggregation of the data at one single place, because so many interventions happening at all over the places, all across the country, they have to be aggregated at one place so that a proper measurement and evaluation can take place as to how much railways have actually contributed to the GHG commissions. That said, challenges will not get over by overcoming only these two hurdles. The energy efficiency interventions and IoT interventions on a long-term contract through ESCO models look good on paper, but the real issue lies in implementation, much the likes of all the PPP projects. The challenges become even higher because of the disaggregated nature of the projects. We all know people, processes, technology. These are the three pillars on which any success or failure depends in any endeavor. The technology and the processes part are the most talked about generally. Again, because they involve a lot of money. It involves they're I think overrated. We are an aspirational country. We are a country of ideas. We have brilliant people all around. So ideas, processes, technology is never a problem. The problem always comes on the people's part. And I bring this just because I talked about the PPP and large scale, long period contracts. Uh, PPPs require or long term contracts require a steady stream of revenue. Unlike the traditional EPC contracts, if the revenues are not going to the contractor, the project just stops. There's no monetary loss either side. When the money comes, the project starts again. But in this case, it's a long-term wedlock, and you cannot have a situation that in a wedlock of 7, 8, 10 years, if the revenues stop for any reason, we have seen several PPP projects fail on this very simple reason. The point of the matter that I'm trying to emphasize here is that there is a high premium on the contractual leadership by the officers. If that contractual leadership, even in a high specialized, complex IT based, IoT based project, is not there, whatever best technology, whatever best system, or whatever best process we put in place, it will be a sure shot recipe for disaster. I would be failing if I do not touch upon one more point that is extremely important in administration of IoT based projects, and that is the capacity building. The capacity building not of the people who are implementing. If let's say Chris or any other technology based organization is implementing, they definitely will have the capacity. The capacity has to come from the other side as well, and not only from the technical side, but probably also from the contractual as well as the finance side. And we see this happen every single day. In my company myself, I would admit that we see a lot of challenges coming from the finance and the contractual side as well. So in a complex environment where most of the things are black boxes, where measurement and evaluations are complex, I think uh, this element of capacity building has to pervade all across the organization rather than getting limited to the technical side as well. I've already taken a lot of time, and therefore I would like to just end by wishing the energy efficiency journey and the IoT journey of Indian Railways all the very best. From my side, my company ESL would remain committed to any kind of partnership with Indian Railways. Thank you.